you're watching the Top 6 Show, the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below. To the Top 6 Show. Sorry for being a little late today. I will explain why tomorrow, but just had a very interesting last hour due to calling out the FA and referees. But I will explain all of that tomorrow when I get the time to digest it and just go through things. Brilliant panel for you tonight. Man like Dizzy on the Top 6 Show. Ram is here with us, aka Two-Backer is here right now. We've got Mo Gender back on the show again, ready to probably trigger 95% of the audience with his opinions. Rory is here, back in Arsenal, and there he is, the man himself. Jords is here, top of the league, Jords.
Now, that's what I was just about to say. Make sure you introduce me with top spot, Jords, yeah? You know what this bad means right now.
What I'll do, I'll rearrange it round as well. I'll rearrange everybody to the order of which you currently sit in the Premier League as well. That's what we'll do. Other than me, I'm the host. I'm going to stick in this top corner. Sorry, Mo, you don't have a team, so I'm putting you there. Where are you in? Actually, where are Inter in Serie A?
Second.
Second. Oh, so I'll put you there instead because it will be fair. Do you know what I mean? Have you got more points than Arsenal?
I think so. We played less games. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Keep you there. I'm just trying to be fair.
It's not important.
I'm trying to be fair. There's loads to go into today. We'll be touching Tottenham and title races. That will be coming up on the show. We're looking ahead at some transfer news. We're also going to be looking at team of the year so far. So make sure you stay with the Terrace. Make sure like buttons have been hit. But I went into the group chat earlier and said to everybody, anything people want to speak about specifically. And Mo Gender straight away come back with Ten Hag. All he wrote was Ten Hag. I asked him to expand, and he said the players are turning on him. And they kind of are, according to the headlines today. And Mo, I'll let you take this away, really, because I've read the headlines that there's lots of players in the Man United dressing room who are turning on Ten Hag. They don't like how he's treated Jadon Sancho, and it appears there's some problems there. Over to you, Mo.
Listen, this Man United thing is like, this is where people feast. The news, the media, and it's international break, nothing to talk about. So let's talk about Manchester United and Ten Hag, as there is nothing else to talk about. I'm sure there's like a couple of players that just voiced their opinion to their friends, and their friends leaked it to somebody, and now it's all the dressing room is against Ten Hag. I think that's how it works. But it's still the Sancho thing. The Maguire now is coming out like he plays one game, has one assist, and now he thinks he's the best defender in the league. I was like, I have 100% percentage in winning. I'm like, some of these guys are just idiots at Man United, and I'm just saying it out loud. Some of these players are just idiots. They think they are bigger than they actually are. Some of them think because Harry Maguire plays in the England national team and Southgate chooses him, now he has a bigger stature than Erik ten Hag or even Manchester United as a football club. Bro, you were out of the door. They just didn't sell you because they didn't get enough money for you and you wanted 8 million. So just shut up, play your role, and just get on the pitch when they need you, do your job, get paid, and next year you're out of the club. So just stop making noise. I am with Sancho on the situation that he shouldn't apologize. However, at the end, you're an employee, probably inside the club, it needs to be fixed. But this is all a reflection of where the club is at. I asked the question this morning, will Man United ever be back without changing ownership? What if the ownership don't change? What happened? And I now believe, especially after this international break, Man United might never be back without new owners. If the Glazers stay, it's a reflection of what everything is happening at the club. This news of Erik ten Hag player turning is, as you say, maybe December he'll be out of the club because more players are not going to be happy, and we'll see another manager, interim manager, and whoa, Man United on the wheel again, and you win a couple of games, and we start again. It's a cycle that will never end. It's never going to be ending.
Look, it's been very clear that I don't think that Ten Hag is the man, or I don't believe in his styles and so on. But I don't think that Man United are going to sack him. And when you look at some of the players and the players that are turning on him, they're players that Man United ideally want out of the club right now. Like Maguire coming out, and honestly, I think it's an absolute joke. I've never seen a player come out once, any player for any club, and come and talk about a win percentage. A win percentage. and like the thing that makes this a lot worse is you're Manchester United, the biggest club in world football. and you've got players undermining your management in the live media, by the way, talking about how he deserves to start because of win percentage. When, let's be real, guys, we can all look at this from context. He's played the easiest games. Like, it's not hard for you to get 100% win percentage in that. Like, you didn't play against the big club. So, yeah, you can take a win percentage. And I hate that the England, whenever he goes away with England, that's whenever he gets his little limelight.
The ego, right? Like Southgate pumps him on the side, you know.
I hate it. I hate that the English team give him this sense of it's like importance because he gets called up by Southgate. He's the main defender, but you're not that guy, Maguire. You're not
George,
that
it's
guy.
true.
And, frankly,
this morning I opened the Daily Mail, I opened the Sun, I opened like London, whatever thing. The headlines, guys, and I promise you, go check the newspaper today. Every single front page is Harry Maguire. It's absolutely nuts.
Do you know what's really crazy?
Nuts,
do you know what's crazy about it, Jords? What you just said there, the players and manager doesn't rate. And this has happened for the last 3 managers specifically. It didn't really happen to LVG as much, but it happened from Jose onwards. Players that he didn't get on with or didn't want turned against him. And either directly, so the club not letting these managers sell players, or them not being able to sell them, and they're allowing the players to speak out and do whatever they want. It's just, this has gone on every single time. Players at Man United, it's cultural. Phil, well, if I'm upset, and I actually think players are upset. I bet if you spoke to Calvin Phillips privately, I bet you he's annoyed at being at City right now. Yes, they're winning. Yes, he's at a great club, but he's not happy. We've heard, how many times have we heard players that have played for Pep in winning teams complain about him? Loads. Fergie. Look at Fergie and Roy Keane's relationship. Fergie has loads of ex-players that they know how good he was, but they didn't like how he did things as an example. And I think that at Man United, the way it gets twisted into, well, the manager must always be wrong, or even if the manager is wrong, that's completely unacceptable, and we should all side with the players. There's a thing on the Daily Mail today I was looking at, and it's almost based on the players the manager should pick based on their win percentage. And it's like Ronaldo's win percentage of starting games under Ten Hag is one of the highest. Well, yes, because he started like one game against a very small, easy team, and we won it, so it's like 100%. You said it right, Jules. Maguire has started a lot of games against the easier teams as of late, so his win percentage is high. I always remember years ago they used to do this thing where they showed Liverpool's win percentage with and without Gerrard. Oh, look, they've got a 20% better win percentage without him. Yeah, that's because they'd only drop him when they're playing the easiest teams that they invariably beat. So, of course, the win percentage is higher. It's all very, very, very disingenuous. And that doesn't mean Ten Hag hasn't made mistakes. It doesn't mean that he shouldn't be criticized for things that he has done wrong. But you said it bang on, Jords. It's the players that he doesn't fancy at the club who are turning on him. And the reason why I defend the manager isn't because I back Ten Hag to the end of the earth and back. It's because I've seen 3 managers running treated this way 3 times running. Generally speaking, the fans, the media, and in the end, the owners have gone with the players, and we haven't improved as a football club. So this becomes not about my favorite player, my favorite manager. It becomes about following practices that have led to the position that we are in, and it stinks. It stinks to high heaven.
And you know what? I think there's 2 ways that you can go about this conversation. First and foremost, I think Mo said it very well that when there's nothing going on, just talk about United. Some Man United fan will be outraged, and obviously, I think rival fans will just call Man United fans bitter or whatever the case is. But when there's nothing to talk about, if you talk about Man United with one of the biggest clubs in the world, there will be clicks, there will be downloads, whatever the case have you. So it could be making nothing out of nothingness, which is what, sort of the news tend to do on most occasions. But then also with Harry Maguire, I think with the comments that he's made, I think whoever is handling his PR is doing a terrible job at the moment. I think for the first time in a very long time, nobody was actually having a go at Maguire for anything. Obviously, his mum came out and defended. His mum came out, made a statement about, "Stop bullying my son. Stop it. His feelings are hurt." You know what I mean? So, and obviously everybody went at him for that. But since then, nobody's really said anything. He's come back into the team. He's played a couple more games than we're used to be honest. And nobody's really gone at him. And then the first opportunity that he gets a chance, he's out talking about, "I am the big I am." And I feel like whoever's handling his PR should have told him, wait a couple more months. Just give it some time. Play a few more games. Make yourself undeniable in the starting team, and then talk about troubled times as if they're times in the past. Don't talk about them as if you've overcome them now, because you haven't, big man. That's facts. And then the last thing I would say on Ten Hag, because I'm just not a defender of Ten Hag blindly, is I think the mistake that he's made is he's deviated from the meritocracy that he had promised when he first came in. I think it's easier to build a team that is happy with their playing time when they genuinely feel that if somebody else is having a stinker, they'll come off the pitch. But in the past 2-3 months or so, he's picked the same man over and over again. So the players on the bench are like, bruv, we are losing every week and I can't get a chance here. So what does it say about my abilities? What is he trying to say about me? Am I useless? Is that what it is? And then you get the disharmony. That's where I feel all the issue is really.
But
Yeah, and so I just want to say on that, and you're right. Like there's certain players that the Sancho Anthony argument keeps rearing its head, and I think most level-headed Man United fans have always said, but neither have produced in terms of going forward. But at least with Anthony, we kept shape and he did the defensive work. So it always made sense why one was being picked over the other for me. Although I still wanted, and this is where it becomes so, again, when you have like what I call basic bitch debates, they go, yeah, but he ain't scoring either. Yeah, we know. We want better than both. I'm not defending Anthony in terms of he's the guy forever. I want better than both. But the argument between those two is a micro penis competition. And it's nonsensical to me for Man United fans to care about that. But where the problem lies is back to what Mo said, and I've been saying it for 8 years. It's the ownership, because Man City would, Arsenal now would, Liverpool definitely would, and all the best run clubs would. If they're a manager that they're backing and says, look, these 3 players are always talking in the media, there are issues in training, I don't want to use them for whatever the reason. I don't like him as a footballer. I don't like him as a person. Doesn't track back enough. I don't really care what it is. His agent's a dickhead. It doesn't matter what the manager's reasons are. All those clubs would turn around and go, see you later then. They'd get the player out and it removes that problem. And so for me, it's a case of sometimes the players are wrong. Sometimes the manager is wrong. But the way the club is run, they throw a liter of petrol over a small campfire and it engulfs everything every single time. And that's for me is kind of like my biggest problem with a lot of this, if that makes sense. And it's just hugely frustrating. Sorry, Ram, you're about to say something, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you literally took the words right out of my mouth. The big problem of this is all Manchester United, and I think the benefit with Eric Ten Hag is
I thought, sorry, in a group chat earlier, when KJ put D, I thought you meant Dizzy. Sorry, hello D, welcome, bro, welcome. Sorry
for being late. I was late from work. How's everyone doing?
No worries, bro. Sorry, go on, Ram. Sorry, go on, bro.
I was just going to quickly say the only benefit for Eric Ten Hag in terms of the fan base is Harry Maguire, and Man United fans have already come to the conclusion Harry Maguire is not good enough for their club, and they don't really care whatever he says. They whatever he says, if he's good enough to start or whatever, they're like, no, you're not good enough for this club. We want you out of the club. And they're obviously going to back Ten Hag with this kind of situation. So I think in terms of this situation alone, on just the Harry Maguire stuff, that's the only benefit of Eric Ten Hag is that it's Harry Maguire. It's not a big profile like a Paul Pogba was with Jose Mourinho.
The problem is though, Ram, and you may not be aware of this yet. I spoke about this about 4 or 5 weeks ago. The revisionism has already started from the media because we had Adrian Durham on TalkSport and multiple others talk about they've actually said this, that Maguire's career at United was brilliant until Ten Hag arrived. That narrative has been painted. You've now got fans that don't like Ten Hag. They're kind of sitting there, and it's very political for them because they go, right, I don't really like Maguire either, but I might now, because there's enough media support, be able to use Maguire as a stick to beat the manager with. I've seen this start to happen. Suddenly, there's this revising of how bad Maguire was for 2 years, and it's just, for me, as a fan watching, it's horrendous. It's horrendous to
I want to interject here and ask a question here. Listen, Spurs been in shambles. People are calling Levy out. They don't like how he runs the club, all the Harry Kane problems, all of that. But we see someone like Ange Postecoglou come in, and now they live in clouds. You know what I mean? They're happy. They look like a good family. Do we genuinely think that no manager can come in and fix it on the pitch, that people will be happy and will be the happy life like what Spurs are now. Even though still it's same Daniel Levy, it's still the same people that manage the
not
team.
anymore. Not
It's
anymore.
happened a
Mo.
few times. Like
No,
it's
but
happened a
not-
few times at Man United. You've seen it. Manager comes in, short-term success. Even last year under Ten Hag, and then afterwards the same problems arise with Man United. I was listening whilst I was driving back home. With Man United, the problems are always going to be there until the owners change. But it's funny now that players are getting onto Ten Hag as well. I don't know where them leaks are coming from. It's interesting. The timing of it it's a bit confusing. Why now, especially after a win? But Man United, it's going to be the same old story. That's why with it gets boring talking about Man United, because literally you have a manager that comes in. They do well. That manager is all of a sudden he's going to bring Man United back to the glory days, and then boom.
But you know what? You know what it is though.
That ceiling's due to the owners.
Yeah, but you know what it is though with United, and this is by no means disrespectful to Tottenham by any stretch of the imagination. Tottenham's glory days is being competitive in the league to some degree and finishing high in the table to some degree. Obviously, you might go further in the past and say you've won stuff in the past. I'm talking about like for now. So Tottenham fans, to me personally, they can make peace with a building, with a project built with the eye for success in the future. With United, our glory days are the peak of glory you can wish for, to be honest. So it's a very distinct difference from where we've fallen to where we want to get back up to. Tottenham fans just would be happy to get back to competing for FA Cups in the league here or there, being in and around the positions. United fans won't be happy until we're back dominating for years at a time, winning back-to-back leagues, winning Champions Leagues back-to-back. So the United attention span, and our tolerance for failure is a lot lower and a lot slimmer. There's a lot narrower window for.
But United fans are still stupid about it. And me and Lee Gunner have this debate all the time. And he says that, not me personally, but he says United are in the mud because the fan standards are too low because you don't expect to win the league every year. In the next breath, he says, but you're never winning the league again until you get new owners. It's like, okay, so deep that for a minute. If we know we can't win the league because the owners run us so badly, why should I have a genuine demand of my manager and team every year to win the league? Well, because you've got to keep the standards high. No, I've got to demand first then that we run the club in a way that could generate a team to win the league. There's a deeper thought. And most Man United fans, I'll be honest with you, that I speak to about this, they're just, I don't want to say they're dense. That sounds horrible, but they just don't think about it in that way. The only time they really go for the Glazers is when it's popular, when the media's talking about it. When it isn't, it's just the managers and players all the time, managers and players. And then when it becomes popular, they go, yeah, and we've got to get the Glazers out. And it was a great quote on Goldbridge's show the other day. I think it was Rob Dawson was on there. They said, look, at the end of the day, the Glazers, they don't care about protests. They don't care about hashtags. They don't care about green and gold scarves. They only care about making money. And it was one of the most least sort of responded to quotes about the Glazers I've seen in 3 years. Why? Because Man United fans know that if they can't say anything about that because they're giving them money. And I've said it 7 years straight. If we'd have cut the money away 7 years ago, 6 years ago, we'd have got new owners. We could get the Glazers out within 2 months, easy, by cutting money. It's an easy process, but it's hard to do emotionally. I get it. And you know why it's hard? Because you actually have to sacrifice something you enjoy and you love. And like I've said about most people in 2023, we can all tweet, we can all post things, we can all hashtag, but how many people are willing to actually sacrifice something to make a difference? Whether it's about their football club or something far more important to the world, the answer is a minimal amount of people are actually willing to do anything. And at the end of the day, until the Qataris bid more than they really want to, which could still happen, we're stuck with these Glazers because fans are not willing to do enough to get rid of them. But we'll just sit on the hamster wheel, going around in circles, managers, players. And in 20 years' time, I'll still be sitting there, bald again, grey. I mean, old as hell. So I told you all 30 years ago what was coming. And no, I'm not being political, Terry. I'm talking about football, but you get my point. But there we go. Sorry, I'll hand it back to you guys.
I just wanted to go back on the Ten Hag point, just to give him some defense. I would say that the types of players like that come out in the media or they start downing their tools when managers are not choosing them or not favouring them, they're not the types of players you want at your club anyway. Because you look at the likes of Scott McTominay, he clearly wasn't wanted Clearly wasn't wanted in the summer. Man United wanted to get rid of him, but all he's done is put his head down. He's not a man that's going to come out in the media and try to say anything bad about Ten Hag. He's not going to come and say anything bad about the club. He's just going to put his head down, play football, and try to get any minutes he can. And you see on the weekend, he got the minutes, he got the game winners, and yeah, he might not be at Man United again for the long term. But if he keeps playing his football and just putting his head down and doing what you're supposed to do, they're the types of players you want at your club. They're the types of players that will earn their spot back in the team and potentially earn their spot back at the club. But a man like Harry Maguire, a man like Sancho, they're not players you want in and around your team. They're not players you want in and around your dressing room. They're leeches, and they're literally just making it all look a lot worse.
Thanks.
An amazing comment here that says, Terry, if you are not biased, you have the ability to acknowledge the good the Glazers have done. Please list these facts.
Like what?
Well, what I would say is this. There's been some practices, for instance, sort of the investment in someone like Rasmus Højlund, I think he's very good for the future, so I'll praise that, and they're obviously part of it. And I've definitely said well done for things that the Glazers have done, even in the last few years, because I'm not biased in that regard. But they have systematically rotted the club. And the reason from 2005 until 2013 we continued to win is because a large core of that team was built before they arrived, and Fergie and David Gill still run the club. As soon as they took over running the day-to-day operations of Manchester United, we have declined rapidly. The erosion is apocalyptic. So at the end of the day, I know you're trying to be funny maybe with that comment, but take care. This super chat here says meritocracy is cool, but our other guys are mid. Should Ten Hag trust Sancho, Toney, no speed, Martial, McTominay, and Luke Shaw to save his job? Well, Luke Shaw, he does. He trusts Luke Shaw. But that's a fair point. Rashford, Sancho, Kaz, Maguire, Evans, and Martial. Oh, that's a response to this super chat that you already put in, saying, seems Ten Hag has lost the dressing room. He does not trust some players. If United keep Ten Hag, then let go 6 players for discipline. So he would let go of Rashford, Sancho, Casemiro, Maguire, Evans, and Martial.
Well, Evans just got here.
Yeah.
So
Evans has done all right, you know. I didn't want him, but he's done all right.
He's terrible, but he's done all right. So Casemiro and Evans are... Sorry, go on.
Has Eric Ten Hag fallen out with Rashford and Casemiro?
No.
I've not seen anything about that. So
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing: Rashford had stinker on stinker, and he's been gradually getting less and less minutes in the starting 11. But I don't think they're falling out. I think Rashford's confidence is just on the floor at the moment. And Casemiro, Lord knows what happened to him. He went to Brazil, came back pudgy. I don't know what happened.
I think Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think Ten Hag should still have enough credit in the bank after last season, which, in my opinion, last season was an overachievement. He should still have enough credit that there are players that he could call out himself. He could drop them and say, look, behind closed doors, in the dressing room, whatever, they've downed tools. And if he's brutally honest and he's like, look, this player is someone that under previous managers at United has done the same before, I think United fans in general would agree that there are a group of players who have a history of letting down managers when things go against them. And I think if Ten Hag leaves it too long before calling them out, it'll be too late because people will just be, fans will have turned on Ten Hag. But right now, I feel like he's got enough credit in the bank, or should have enough credit in the bank, that he should just call them out and be like, look, these are below standards, and therefore I am moving to the youth or whatever. I feel
the pressure at Man United Rory is too much. He needs to get wins. It cannot be like other clubs. This is not Brighton. This is Manchester United. 3-4 games without wins because he's trying youngsters, and the whole club goes upside down. I think everybody just flips shit. This is the problem at Man United. This is the problem now at Arsenal. Like if you don't win, things go belly up. Bro, this is Manchester United. Like everybody talks about, oh, you haven't won 3 games, but I'm trying other players. No chance. You have to win. You have to get it, try and get wins.
Is that the way forward? Going a couple steps back to go forward a lot more.
And you know what? To Mo's point with United as well, because like I said earlier, we are probably the most talked about club in the country. The more you don't win, the brighter and brighter these lights keep getting. The more you feel under pressure to do something. the more it feels like the world is watching and waiting for you to fuck up some one way or another. And in that instance, it becomes a very, very toxic place for people whose confidences are already on the floor. So that's how it always ends up spiraling out of control. And you just have to do something, and you can't sack off the whole team. So the manager invariably ends up biting the bullet. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's also a lot of money to be made through sacking Man United managers, because invariably there's been a throughout the bad form and the idea of him being sacked, the share price drops, which is when people are selling their shares, and who is buying them back at a lower amount, the Glazer family. And then they sack a manager and hire someone new, and there's a massive skyrocket in valuation they've made. And it's all been documented in the Guardian about 18 months ago. They've made, just through the sacking and hiring of managers since 2018, over £500 million as individuals in the transfer market. But some breaking news on Man United just come out from the at the business, which is obviously Bloomberg, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is leading the race to buy Manchester United. The British billionaire's recently revised offer is giving him the edge over the rival Qatari bid. That there are conversations currently going on between the Glazers and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's team about the structure of that deal. And I don't personally think that's a bad thing. And before Man United fans kick off, you've got to say it very quickly, because people will clip you up on that. It's my personal belief that if Sir Jim's looking like he's going to get it, the Qataris will increase their bid, even though publicly they're saying they don't want to. So it's going to be intriguing to know what happens. David Beckham, I've got to go and read more about. Beckham's just come out and done another interview talking about his involvement if the Qataris take over. And the fact that he's now spoken about this like twice publicly now, Beckham, there's something in that for me. Although, I'm a bit worried about Beckham at the minute. Like, that hair's getting a little thin, bro. Man needs another transplant. I can hook him up if he needs. He has had 3 now, David Beckham hair transplants.
That's why you're worried about him.
Terry, you said it's positive.
I'm always worried about my David. David's my hero as a kid, and I see his hair looking a bit thin. I'm like, bruv, miss those great haircuts. But let's see what happens with that, ladies and gentlemen, in the coming days and weeks. There's no point. I think we've done to death who everyone wants as owners. We all know who everybody wants, and until there's genuine progression in that, we'll leave that one there. Viewers, please hit like buttons for us on this Thursday evening. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. I want to talk a little bit about Chelsea, boys, because they're linked with a move today, £150 million move for Victor Osimhen. Now, I spoke to a few people in the last week that think he's potentially a little bit overrated and not worth £150 million. Is this what Chelsea need to go and do, based on the fact that people say they spent a billy, but they don't have anybody that's world class? They don't have anybody that's experienced. They don't have a gunman like him. Would this be the right move in January, especially with, I know they've said publicly they've cleared it up, but Napoli really doing Osimhen dirty and there being problems? Is this the right move, and can anyone see Chelsea pulling this off in January?
I don't think they're gonna. I don't see Napoli selling him in January, unless he forces his way out. And I don't think Osimhen. I don't know. I'm not Osimhen, but I don't see him leaving in January. I see him leaving in the summer. 100% the summer he's going to go. But Chelsea have got stiff competition because Real Madrid are also looking for a striker, and there's so many talks about Real Madrid looking to upgrade on Joselu. So it's going to be a lot of stiff competition. So I really don't think it's going to happen, in my opinion.
But like for me, what I don't understand is, if you have 150 million, surely you spend that on a Premier League proven striker. Like Chelsea right now, I think their problem is they're finding their way is they've got a lot of youngsters. They're still figuring their way out. Why don't you go and get Toney? Because Toney's not going to cost that much. You might as well spend that money on a Premier League proven striker. Like, you might as well just go for it like that, instead of, taking a gamble on Osimhen. So for me, in that sense, it doesn't make much sense. I would think for Chelsea, Toney would be better suited. But that's the thing with Chelsea. I mean, they've got all the money in the world and they've been spending it left, right, centre. But it's about what you want to do at this point. Is it always going to be about trying to bring these players and trying to grow them into the potential and maybe sell them on in the future? Or are you going to actually go for experience? I think the Chelsea side do have experience, but as you can see, if you look at the whole squad, it is also lacking experience in terms of relative to younger players. And I think Ivan Toney coming into the side would just make sense, especially if you have that money. I don't know why complicate the situation.
Personally, for me, with the 150 million pounds, Chelsea team is not done. it's not done. They still need more players. They need a goalkeeper, in my opinion. I don't think I feel for me and a lot of Chelsea fans believe that he's a stopgap. I think they need another centre back. This Chelsea team, in terms of their starting 11, needs a little bit of work. And splashing all that money on a striker.
The thing is, though, Ram, let's be real. When you say all that money is not a problem for Chelsea. So splashing the cash is what Chelsea do.
It's FFP,
that is simply what they do. So
they've already spent
FFP,
a billion,
but
man.
when you talk about spending 150 mil, spending 150 mil for Liverpool, yeah, you're not spending for the rest of the summer. But Chelsea will spend 150 mil, and they spend 150 mil tomorrow. Like it's not a problem for them. I just don't think that the move's a good move for Osimhen if it's available. I think Chelsea, you look at where their club is at the moment, and like you say, they have a lot of gaps. Their team's not settled. They're still going through a phase of change. It'd be a horrible place for him to go right now. I don't see him coming in.
You're thinking that he doesn't suit Chelsea, Jords. Is that what you're saying?
I just don't know. I think that the environment for him to go be in Chelsea right now wouldn't be an environment where he would come and thrive in the Premier League.
So that wouldn't suit Ivan Toney as well, right? Like, so the Ivan Toney's off the table for you as well for Chelsea.
I'd say Ivan Toney's a bit different. Who should we get then? If Chelsea want a forward tomorrow, I would say Ivan Toney's different because Ivan Toney's a senior player that's already playing in the Premier League. Osimhen's a younger player that's going to have to come to adapt to the Premier League, adapt to the culture of the Premier League, and adapt to the Chelsea team. I don't feel like there's a lot less of Toney if he's going into that team that he'll have to.
Osimhen isn't young. Osimhen isn't young, but
it'll be 25 by January. It'll be 25 by January.
Now my problem with Osimhen is one thing that he is gonna go to the African Cup of Nations. That's one of the problems. If Chelsea want a striker, he might be away for a month because Nigeria.
There's only 2 Premier League games in January though, so he's not going to miss.
So maybe, so you're right. Then.
I think it's
but
3.
I actually think 150 million for Osimhen at the moment, based on how he done this year, is too much. Well, do I flip flop based on last year? Maybe. Is Chelsea a stable enough club to be able to get the form of him of last year? I don't think so at the moment, unless by January, they turn the corner and they start winning game and we see them like back to the top 6 or something. That's when you go and get someone like Osimhen, because now you're getting him to a stable environment, as George said, and now it works. But it's too early to say that. But 150 million for Osimhen is too much, in my opinion.
Don't you guys think also that with Nkunku coming back, I don't think they need to sign a striker. I feel like Nkunku's probably going to come in and play in that number 9 role.
They are convinced that he's a playmaker.
That's why Ivan Toney will be so good for them, because Ivan Toney has traits that what Nkunku's already familiar with, like the stuff that Yusuf Poulsen does for RB Leipzig. Toney can easily do the stuff that they could do, and his partnership with Poulsen was very good. He got a lot of goals and assists because of that. That's why Ivan Toney, for me, seems like a smarter option, but I don't know whether Chelsea does anything smart in their transfer business.
But you know what, though? I think, obviously, we're giving Chelsea a lot of smoke right now. But to be honest, from what I've watched of Chelsea, from the games that I've watched, they've actually created a lot of chances. And the only thing that feels to me like they're absolutely missing is somebody that can convert those chances. Now, is Osimhen that guy? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But as far as experience, him and Toney are about 2 years apart, because I think Ivan Toney is about 27, I think. But the only difference is Osimhen has the experience of being in a title race, coming down to the wire and having to pull through for the team. And I think that competitive experience is a lot more important to me personally, I would say, than just being in the Prem, because we've seen players from the Prem go to a bigger team in the Prem and absolutely fold, because the pressure of playing for a Brentford, a Crystal Palace, and whatever have you, and playing for the United, the Chelseas, the Arsenals, the Liverpools, completely different ball. It's like playing in a different league almost, because the teams even play you differently. You have a lot less space in behind. You have to adapt your whole game really when you go to the big team. So I don't know. I think if I was Chelsea, I would want Osimhen more than Toney. But I love Toney as well, and I kind of want United to get Toney. So maybe that's what I'm saying.
But then you know what you said about them creating chances. I understand the pressure also, and Osimhen is playing at a bigger club, of course. But we don't. There's question marks about Osimhen as well. Will he be able to do it in the Premier League? We don't know that factor. And there's question marks about Toney. Will he be able to step up? Because as you said, the likes of Brentford and Palace, there's different expectations compared to Brentford. But I still think based on what you said, that Ivan Toney still makes a bit more sense than Osimhen, because he'll be cheaper. It's about, you know, playing still in the same league that, you know, you said that Chelsea do create a lot of chances, so they just need a finisher. And more than likely, I think Toney will be that finisher more than Osimhen. Like, Toney's proven it for Brentford. If Toney can do it for Brentford and score that many goals, and Chelsea are creating chances left, right, centre, then he should be able to finish some chances for Chelsea and even score more goals, arguably, depending on how you view things. So for me, I think based on what you said, I think Toney makes a bit more sense than Osimhen, because there's less risk involved with Toney.
I got 2 words for you, brother. Romelu Lukaku, fam. I would have swore that was Jesus in boots, bro. I would have swore that Romelu Lukaku was the next guy. He came to United and died. He went to Chelsea and died, bro. He went to Inter, did his thing, to be fair, but then the second season, did he die, Mo?
No, he went next. The second time he came in, he was injured, like 5 months. So
fair enough.
didn't,
But yeah, so
he didn't play, and he didn't play well.
I think the pressure on Osimhen would be absolutely unbelievable. If you come in as effectively be the most expensive striker pretty much in history, and he'd come in January to a team that has been claiming for months and months by that point, presumably, we're doing everything right, we just need a goal scorer. And you come in as that superstar goal scorer, ridiculous fee. That's an insane level of pressure. Coming off the back of a AFCON as well, where quite often players come back from that and struggle to get back into gear. To do that in a new team at a new league, all that pressure, I think he could get off to like a bad run of 3 or 4 games, and the media, the fans, I could see it being one of those car crashes, to be honest.
But spending money again is, for me, 150 million. Come on, and then they tell us we have agendas against Chelsea. Like, come on, just give me a break. You spent $1 billion, and you're gonna go spend 150 million. Come on, just give me a break. To be honest, well, when is it gonna stop?
He's very good. I understand the pressure talk, but at the end of the day, how much if you're looking at a player that scores the amount of goals that Osimhen does at 24, 25 years of age in this current market, how much you realistically going to be able to buy one for?
It's gotta be that. Gotta be 120 to 150. That's the going rate for strikers.
Realistically, yeah. When you look,
you say it's insane. How old is Declan Rice?
24.
24, 25.
I mean, listen, and I think Declan Rice is amazing. You just spent 100 million on a DM. So strikers, goal scorers have always been the most expensive role in a football team. So if the best young 23, 24-year-old midfielders are going for 100 million, I just don't see why it's weird that the best current young-ish strikers are 120, 130, 140s. It stands to reason, does it not? Or am I off key?
Yeah. Well, that's his price tag. That's actually the price tag that is correct based on the market. Yes, of course. But 130 is the right one.
From my perspective, what I've seen in Osimhen, yes, he's doing incredibly well for Napoli, but I don't know what his record is in the Champions League. But when you see what he's done in other leagues, he hasn't been that great. That has not been good. As in Germany, he failed to score a single goal, and then at Lille, he had a decent run at the end of his final season with Lille, and then at Napoli, he wasn't hitting these numbers in his first 2 seasons. Then all of a sudden, he just gone and hit around about 30 goals a season. So there's that element of risk. It's not like Haaland, where
Rams, that's completely. Sorry, can we get the facts straight?
He was 16 to 17 years of age in Germany.
Exactly. When he started hit 20, when he hit 20, he had double digits in every single
Timo Werner could score 30 goals.
We all agree on here. Harry Kane is top class, right?
Yeah.
You know, at 18, he was struggling to score goals at Leyton Orient.
And how much wasn't Harry Kane 100M at 31 years old? With essentially zero sell-on value. At 25, you're talking about a player where you might be spending 150, but let's think about it. Caicedo went for 100. Enzo went for 100. Lavia went for like 65. Højlund at United went for 65. And he's like 20 years old, and he's definitely got no meritocracy. He played in the same league, got 12 goals. So you see, you know what I mean?
Mama, the guy had 20 GAs.
Just to answer the question, sorry as well, Champions League. He actually just scored 2 Champions League goals for Lille, by the way. He's played 11. He's played 13 games in the Champions League and has 7 goals and 1 assist. So 8 goal contributions in 13 Champions League games. Again, it's not bad.
The price
Not
is the price,
bad.
bro.
I feel like, to me, he's as like, if you're looking at the striker market right now, he's as proven as you get. The striker market, probably for the past 3 to 4 years, hasn't been that good, especially when you look at young strikers. There's not much out there. There's not much players you could say 20 goal a season striker. Hardly any. So when you look at Osimhen and you say he's one of the only players you could look at and say he's going to give me close to 20 goals in the league, if not 20 plus, he has to be 150 mil, if not in and around that price tag. Because like you said, Højlund is like, what, 20 years old. He's had his first season in Atlanta. It was a good season, but you're signing a player with potential. He has nothing. He hasn't proved anything, and he's 60 or 70 mil. So if that's 60, 70 mil for a player with potential, a proven player needs to be going for at least double that price.
I think in today's market, the money that we're talking about, Osimhen 150, like that's, you can debate it, but look at the prices of some of the players that we mentioned already. That's not really the issue for me. It's about looking at the alternative. Now, I think that's where the real debate should be. It's about looking at maybe the likes of Toney, how much he'll cost, and versus Osimhen. Because if they get Osimhen for 150 million, it's not like they got scammed. Because as everyone agrees here, he's one of the top class strikers in the whole of Europe. Like he's done it in the Champions League. I think that's is good enough. Done it over in Italy as well. So he is class. And today's market, the inflation is crazy. Like the players go for crazy amounts of money, and he's one of the best in a position that you desperately need. There isn't that many great strikers in the world, so it's hard to find. So that's not the issue. I don't think it's the price that's the issue. It's about finding a player that suits Chelsea. It's about finding a player that, I think, for Chelsea at this point, it would be more important for them. I think Osimhen could come good. He could. I'm not saying he will be a flop at Chelsea. I'm not saying that by any means. But when you talk about the risks involved, there's risk in every single transfer. But for me, Ivan Toney just seems a bit more sensible now with his Premier League experience in this young Chelsea side for the short to long term, because he's still 27, than Osimhen right now for £150 million. I'll rather spend what we're saying for Ivan Toney. Even if it's half of that, I'll rather spend the half of Osimhen on Ivan Toney and bring that in, because I think that suits Chelsea better, and the risks involved with Toney is less than,
because he has Premier League experience. Sorry, D. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Because he has Premier League experience. Is that what you're saying, D?
Yeah. So he's got. Wait, hold up. So we're bringing a Premier League striker that scored goals for Brentford, and we're trying to bring him into a Chelsea side that are creating chances that can't finish. That they can't finish their play. Because was
Haaland playing in the Premier League before? Was Haaland playing in the Premier League before, D? Was Haaland playing in the Premier League? Was Haaland playing in the Premier League before?
No, but we're not talking about. We're not.
But that's what I mean. There is no comparison between the two.
That's what I'm saying. Mo, you're not understanding my point. I'm saying with Osimhen, I'm not saying he'll be a flop. I'm talking about the comparison. For Chelsea right now, don't they need a proven Premier League goal scorer? Don't they need?
No, they don't. No, that doesn't matter. What you're saying, it doesn't matter. Because I just gave you an example of two players. Mohamed Salah came from the Italian league.
I'm sorry, no, Mo, you are wrong. You can't sit here and use Mohamed Salah. And wait, no,
what
you
about
can't use
Haaland?
Mohamed
What about
Salah
Haaland?
and Haaland. Okay, wait, let me finish your point. You can't use Mohamed Salah and Haaland as your reference point. So, Osimhen's going to
give me another one.
No, let me finish my point and then you'll understand what I'm saying, Mo. Just wait a second, bro. You can't use those ones as reference points because Salah was an anomaly. No one even expected this from Salah. Whether you watched him at Fiorentina or not, no one expected Salah to come into the league and score 30 in his first season. He just proved it. And Haaland, look, we can all look at Haaland. We all know what he was going to come. He's been good wherever he's been at. From his first club at RB Salzburg to Dortmund to Man City, you already knew what he was going to come with. You can't look at him and say, "Oh yeah, Osimhen's going to be the same," because we've seen many players like Osimhen. I mean, Shevchenko came to the Premier League and he wasn't that great after winning the Ballon d'Or.
But we have seen, for instance, Aguero. We've seen Aguero. We've seen Fernando Torres, Suarez, Ruud van Nistelrooy. These are just off the top of my head. I've already said Aguero. We've seen quite a lot of strikers come into the Prem for big money or with a lot of hype, young, some mid-20s, and also do well. I understand the Prem proven analogy, and it does stand to reason at times, but I always think that's generally, and Shevchenko, look, the issue with Shevchenko, I don't even think was about anything other than the manager didn't want him. Jose didn't want him at the club. That was one of those Roman bought him, Jose didn't want him type moves, and I understand, but there's been a lot of big strikers that have come here and fouled. I get like, oh, this guy will do well. He hasn't kind of lived up to it, especially at Tottenham. You guys have done a lot of players, Rebrofs and all sorts of man from, especially from Soldado, who were meant to be, and it hasn't worked for you. But then there's been a lot of strikers that have come into the Prem and done very well.
Terry, don't you look at Chelsea and Chelsea's wait. If we look at one club for strikers, Chelsea's the worst record with strikers.
Yes,
Falcao, all these other players, Costa, loads of them.
Okay,
I want to interject here with one thing. One of the
difference
difference between Ivan Toney is a very good striker, and I think he's absolutely great. The difference between Lukaku cooking in Serie A, it was one season when he actually did really well. And before that, just 2 seasons ago, he was Man United, people wanted him out. But Osimhen has been doing it for fun. Go check his numbers and the way he plays football for Napoli. And before that for Lille, the guy has double-digit contribution every year. And he's only 24 since he was 19 years old. He has been improving and improving and improving. It's not like he hit this form out of a sudden, by the way. It's a gradual improvement. That's the difference between him and Lukaku. That's the difference between him and other players. This is why I'm saying with this young people at Chelsea, maybe he will go in, blend in really well, and work. The price is justified because he had 5 seasons of success. Ivan Toney had once. Ivan Toney a couple of seasons ago, nobody heard of him. He scored 33 goals in the championship. I've seen it many times.
I will go back to my original point though. Even if Chelsea bid in 150 million pounds, there's no guarantee they're going to get it. Like I said, I can't remember the Real Madrid owner. If someone please say his name.
Florentino Perez.
Florentino Perez. He's spoken very, very highly about him. And whenever Perez talks about a certain player, Real Madrid gets the player. And Madrid need a striker.
Tanaka here says, he's first ever super chat as well, by the way, so thank you. He says, how do you know Victor Osimhen won't be an anomaly?
I don't think it's a case of him not being an anomaly. And I've never once said that he would flop. We've simply sat here. And I feel like he said the same thing, is that Chelsea's situation right now, and look at their club and everything that's going on. They need someone that's proven in the Premier League that can come in and give them goals. They can't have someone that might not come in and need time to settle. They need now.
I hear that. Dyke says no way Osimhen flops with the record chances we create, is what Dyke believes here. Dyke also says, and this is a good segue really, it says that Toney wants Arsenal, and I suppose that's the issue here as well. Let's just say everybody for a moment agrees that Chelsea should go for Ivan Toney. According to most reports, Toney would prefer Arsenal. They're leading the race. They're set to advance this deal for him in January to really kind of cement their title charge this year. So, firstly, if Toney's going Arsenal, it becomes an elementary point. Chelsea can't go and get him. They have to look elsewhere. They're talking about £80 million, though, Toney to Arsenal, Rory. Do you think that represents good business for him? And do you think that would be enough in January to maybe this time round secure your first Premier League in 2 decades?
Yeah, actually, I was just reading from John Cross in the Mirror that if Arsenal are going to get Toney done in January, we will need to basically come up with some clever way of doing it where we don't actually spend the money in January because we can't FFP, where our hands are tied. So unless we made a big sale in January, then it's going to be difficult for us to do it. But no, I think it's a big sign. It would be a big signing for us, I think. It kind of ticks off 2 issues that we've got in terms of depth. I think we've got an issue with the striking depth beyond Jesus, and we've got an issue with the depth off the right wing for Saka. And if you bring in Toney, all of a sudden, if Saka gets injured, you can start Toney and move Jesus out to the right. And then obviously he'll compete with Jesus for the starting spot. So it's a great option, proven striker. I think you can't go wrong. And for 80 million is still steep. I think the numbers that we're talking, I know the market is inflated, but 80 million is steep. But we're at that point now where it's kind of the finishing touches on the squad, and Toney would be perfect.
You know what? Firstly, I think Premier League proven, I think, is a fallacy, personally. I think every single one of our teams, we have players that are one of our favorite players came from a different league and was just immense from the jump. I think all of us can think of somebody. Second of all, I find Arsenal, as a fan base generally, I find them quite amusing. Why I say that is because I feel like you can't tell them their flies undone without them insulting your mum or something. You know what I mean? Why I say that is because when they signed Gabriel Jesus Everybody said you signed a striker from a team that didn't have a striker when they won the league. They said, we won this and we didn't have a striker. And Arsenal said, we'll take your striker. And they swore up and down that this was the striker to deliver them from wherever they came from. He was going to be the guy. He was going to get 20, 30 goals a season. Just wait and see. 2 years later, they're replacing him with a Premier League proven striker. What happened to the striker that you said was the guy?
Playing on the wing where he belongs.
He misses 1v1.
He's not a striker, apparently. Now they need a striker to replace the striker.
I don't know which Arsenal fans you're referring to. I'm saying that it's an option to move Jesus out to the right if Saka is injured, and then you have Ivan Toney in there. There's nothing wrong with having depth. We saw last season relying on Jesus. He got injured. We had Nketiah.
But Rory, wouldn't you be like? Let's be honest here. He's not depth. If Toney comes in, he's not depth. He's a better striker than Jesus. So if you can talk about Jesus brings more to your game, then that's totally fine. But when you talk about goal scoring, there's no comparison. Toney knocks him out of the park.
I mean, actually, in terms of goals per game, especially non-penalty goals per game last season, he actually didn't knock him out. I mean, numbers are numbers. You can do what you want with them, but also, of course, what they bring to the rest of the team is important. Like, I don't know why you go, okay, but this striker scores more goals than this striker, and they play as a striker, so therefore he's better. Like, you want the most goals out of the team. You want the best performance out of the team. No. And what Jesus adds to all of the players around him, I don't think can be replicated. So
I get that, but when you talk about Toney's all-round game, he is the reason why Brentford was so good last season, because his all-round game is what makes their attack better. So when you talk about players improving game, that is what he would bring to Arsenal. And talking about the non-penalty goals per game and stuff, for me, that's just a shameless stat, because you're looking at a player that plays for Brentford, and then you're looking at Gabriel Jesus, who's played for the best team in the league for 4 years, and then went to the team that was the second best team in the league last season. And all I've heard last season was Arsenal fans complain about the amount of chances he missed, which a lot of rival fans, we prompted you when he was coming. He's not a striker. He's a guy that will come in. He will look good in the position, but he's going to miss a lot of chances. He's not a finisher. You can look at this season. He's missed how many chances already? Like,
the way you talk about Ivan Toney, Jords, is yes, he has been good on the eye and everything, but you have to understand that sometimes players just don't work in different systems. He was great at Brentford last season, a team that is 16th in terms of ball possession. Going to Arsenal, a team that always have the ball, tight spaces, everything is completely different. He's asked to press from the front. He's never going to be asked to sit back and play on the counter-attack. Go look at Brentford last year. Listen, I'm not knocking down Ivan Toney, but this notion that he's definitely going to work and he's better than Gabriel Jesus, who played for Manchester City, the highest team in the world in terms of ball position, going to Arsenal in a season that they had the second as... Hold on, huh?
He was on the bench for City. That's the point. He played.
Actually, go look at his numbers and go look at his minutes, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, when Aguero was injured, he played. We get it, but he was a bench player.
Aguero was injured a lot of times. So Gabriel Jesus brings something else.
They needed a striker.
Gabriel Jesus played a completely different element for Man City and Arsenal. I actually believe genuinely that if you take Gabriel Jesus out of Arsenal, the output of Odegaard, Saka, and Martinelli will change. Which we saw it at Man City. When they brought a striker, it took away from everybody else. Yes, he scored 50,000 goals, but it took away from other. It's a system. It's a way of playing football. Like this notion that Ivan Toney will come in, and because Saka has 15 goals, Martinelli has 15 goals, Ivan Toney will add 30 goals to that, so the total will be 100 plus goals. I think this is.
I don't think that's
proven. That has never been proven. By the way,
but what a lot of Arsenal fans say.
So let me ask you: it's hard. I don't want to put you on the spot, but what other strikers could Arsenal go out there? Is there any on top of your head that they could go out there that could be a better option?
I'll tell you one thing. So for me, I'm watching, for example, Oli Watkins. People don't like Oli Watkins. Every time I'm watching the guy, he's playing well for 2 seasons. But he doesn't have the spot on him.
So look at Tony's profile. Look at Jesus and Nketiah right there at Arsenal right now. Toney and Jesus is a very interesting combination, because what Arsenal don't have right now is that versatility up front. Now, you can take off Jesus, you can bring Nketiah, but Nketiah isn't a proven Premier League scorer. And Jesus ain't that great up front as well in terms of scoring goals. I think Toney will end up scoring more goals.
That's not all football.
He has that versatility. He has that versatility to Arsenal You keep Jesus there. It doesn't mean that Toney has to start 38 games and Jesus has to sit on the bench for every single game. You have that option coming off the bench that if the game's not going well for you, let's say you are creating chances, for example, you can bring on Toney, and you know that he's a reliable goal scorer in the Premier League. And if you do need to create chances for Saka, etc., if the game's going like that, then you have Jesus there. I think this is a great two combination.
Yeah, of course I do, but
so not only here, it's Nketiah.
I agree. No. Speaking facts, D. But that notion that Ivan Toney comes in, let's take Jesus out, throw him in the bin because he's not good enough, is ridiculous to me. Do we see?
I don't think it's a no.
Yeah, but no one's saying that though. No. I didn't say that.
No one said that.
You guys telling me. So I mean, logically here, let's speak logically. You guys are telling me that Arsenal will go pay 80 million pounds for Ivan Toney to have him as an option off the bench.
No, to challenge Gabriel Jesus.
I'm gonna let Rory respond to that. Listen, people. All I'm gonna say is that we see how Arsenal play now with Nketiah and how the output of Saka and output of Martinelli and the way they play is different when Nketiah is there because the focus is only on them. While we saw Gabriel Jesus against Man City, how sometimes he just drives to the line. Let me just finish that point, and I'm gonna let you guys go. In my opinion, Gabriel Jesus adds a lot to this Arsenal team, even if he doesn't score goals, and he elevates everyone around him. And if you bring in an out-and-out striker like Ivan Toney, who has not proven in a position-based team before, and you put him in, you spend 80 million, and you go Jesus out, I think it's kind of, for me, it's strange.
But we've already seen Arsenal done it. They done it with their goalkeepers. They signed David Raya to challenge Ramsdale. So I'm not. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Arteta does it again.
I want to go to Rory first to Mo's question. Then I want to say something. Go on, Rory.
No, I think Arteta's made it clear. He keeps reiterating he wants two players for every position. So if you're going to compete at the top, then if you want someone that can compete with Jesus, then I think you do have to go out and get an Ivan Toney. Is he a different style of player? Yes. Does it give us a plan B, a plan C for different games and different opposition? Yes. Is it worth 80 million to us right now? Maybe, maybe not. Are there other areas that, if we're really limited in terms of FFP, are there other areas maybe we need to spend the money? I don't know.
But who starts if he does come in, though? That was the question.
It varies game by game. Like it's not like Arsenal don't have a team where it's just this player starts every game and therefore Jesus is benched. Like it doesn't work like that.
Rory, it's a simple answer. It's Jesus. Whenever a new player comes in, they have to work their way into the team.
To start with. Yeah.
When we talk about Chelsea, and you're looking at one of the best current strikers in Europe, Victor Osimhen, everyone's like, no, go and get Toney better. Tony's better. He'll make them better. He'll handle the pressure better. He gets linked to Arsenal, who are leading the race, and it's, it can upset the apple cart. What happens to Gabriel? As opposed to if Chelsea would improve with Toney, again, let's call it as it is. We all know Arsenal, in my personal opinion, will become a better team with Ivan Toney in their starting 11 and or in their squad. So instead of focusing on that, the focus is going to be, it might damage Gabriel Jesus. And I just don't think Arsenal fans are starting to get into this mold. City fans believe in this. Liverpool fans do now they're winning. They didn't before they won trophies under Klopp. The player don't matter. It's the team. I can tell you this now. Jords, answer this honestly for me, please, bro. I know you're an honest guy. In the last 8 weeks, since your team has gone from everyone writing you off to being top of the league, how many times a day are you thinking about Harry Kane?
I don't think of him at all. I even said that earlier on the stream.
Exactly. You don't, because your club is always more important than any player. The only time you would ever think about him is if it started badly and you weren't scoring goals, or we should have spent the money here. It can do that. At the end of the day, Arsenal fans do not get drawn out by the nonsense. If Toney comes in and Gabriel Jesus on the bench and you're a better team, trust me, there's no Arsenal fan who'll care. Only my club, by the way, can improve, but because someone's favourite player's on the bench, they start getting angry. I only really see that at Man United, and that's because I don't believe these guys are Man United fans. I think they use Man United as a fashion accessory. You know, like one of those weird man bags youngsters where they look like handbags. I don't get them. I don't understand why that's fashionable. Someone's got to explain that to me. It's like a modern day bum bag. They weren't fashionable in the 80s, kids. But anyway, I digress massively. Like, they wear it like a fashion accessory. In fact, my cousin wears one of them bags. We were at a family wedding recently. He had it on. I was like, bro, what are you doing? He went, it's the thing. I didn't get it. Anyway, we moved. But like, it's like Arsenal, if they get this guy, and it kind of moves us into the title race chat. City are still the favourites. But if Arsenal sign Ivan Toney, in my opinion, they have an even better chance than they had last year, because I believe in that 5-month period, I think he can score them anywhere between 10 to 15 goals. He'll be a man on a mission. He'll want to prove himself at that level. That he'll be fresh as well, because he's basically going to have a prolonged pre-season ready to go. Listen, if you're a rival of Arsenal's and they sign Ivan Toney, they're going to get scarier. It's as simple as that.
And you know what? And I'll say this: Arsenal. I don't want Toney to go to Arsenal because one, they would actually have a striker, and two, Ivan Toney is absolute quality, and Arsenal are ascending to the point where they're in the conversation. Well, they got to the point now actually where they're very much so in the conversation with City with being one of the best teams in the country. No, not in the country, in Europe right now at the moment. On form over the past 2 years, Arsenal are doing the business. So if they get another elite level striker, they're a terrifying team, and I don't want him to go to Arsenal. So I hope he doesn't. But I'm telling you, having a striker that will do wonders for you, Arsenal fans, and I promise it will.
It's scary. The combination is scary. You have Jesus and you have Toney. Like, you can just switch it up. Arsenal don't have that right now. And it's not like Toney's a different player and that's all that matters. Toney's a different player, but he also scores goals in the Premier League. You add that to this Arsenal side, and Arsenal are 100% getting closer to City. Like, it's a massive improvement. Massive improvement.
Don't think
yes, there are still concerns in different areas of the pitch. Maybe you might need depth in certain areas, but I think Timber coming back in defense, that should help. But one thing for sure for Arsenal is that Jesus was a good signing, and he's still a good signing. But he's not going to win. Well, I say that because at Man City, for example, before he joined Arsenal, there were times where Pep didn't have a striker. He still wasn't using Jesus because he's not that striker to be known for scoring them goals to win you the title. But I think Toney, yes, he's not proven in terms of the top level, but he can score them goals. Jesus has other elements to his game that adds to this Arsenal side. But Toney, the main thing is goals, and you put that into the Arsenal side, it's trouble. It's trouble. There's no ways about it. It's scary.
Oh, yeah, I was also going to say, I just don't think... I personally think that the deal won't be 80 million. I reckon the deal will probably be a bit lower. You're probably looking at around 60 to 70 million. And let's be honest, Arsenal spent that on Havertz, and they quite happily sit him on the bench here and there. So they've shown that they're happy to spend 65 to 70 million pound on a player that will be in and around the squad that's not guaranteed first team. So I don't see why it's not a good deal, honestly.
It is. Just changing the subject slightly. I had a message... my daughter's got one of them bags as well, and I didn't even know. Fuck's sake. I didn't even know she had one. So your daughter's got one of them. I was like, oh, great. Turns out she saw my cousin with it and was like, I want one as well. There we go. And she's only 5. She's into stuff that's fashionable. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I'm getting so old.
I'll say this in defense of the bum bags. I use them. They're actually real handy to have.
I bet they are. You know what I do like? What I do like, and I saw, I don't know her actor name, but Jax in Top Boy. I don't know whether it's part of the clothes or a bag that attaches, but she had some kind of bag that was strapped to her front. That looked good. That looked really good. Like what she's wearing, I was like, that looks good. But it's just it's the bag. See, my cousin had it. He had a suit on, right? And this is how bad it was, right? He's quite young, and he took his jacket off. And it was on the
jacket.
Yeah, like a gun holder, bruv. Like a gun holder, bruv. Like he was like, what are you doing?
You don't wear it with a suit.
Man got ripped, bruv. He got ripped. He got ripped to pieces. But there we go. Like, I think it'll be a good signing in terms of the title race, though. In terms of the title race, we see Arsenal beat Man City. I want to go to you first on this, Jords. Well, actually, no, I want to go to Ram first because Ram brought this up backstage. And I don't know what he's going to say about Spurs and the title race and everything else. Over to you, bruv.
Yeah, I just got a question for Jords, like, obviously Big Ange's doing his thing, Maddison is cooking, Kulusevski's cooking, Mickey van der Ven looking like one of the best signings of the season. Are Tottenham challenging for the league this season?
Quite frankly, you can't do what you done to Arsenal fans last year, trying to build us up, build up the hype, and then bring us back.
I'm just asking the questions.
No, I know, but like doing the little, you got this, everything's going right, big team players, Kulusevski, best winger in the league. Like, no, look, everything's good right now. It is, but it's good right now. This isn't going to last all season. Us Tottenham fans know this. Like, this is just... It's a patch, and it's nice that we're going through this. We need this. After everything we went through last season, it's nice to feel this. But we're not title challengers. We're not ready to be there. We haven't got the squad to challenge that deep into the title. I reckon if we can get through till January, no injuries, stay pretty relevant with regards to the table, maybe a couple points off like second and third. Like if we're in and around there by January and then we can improve the squad, I'll be confident of us securing top 4 early. But title challenge, we're not ready for that. I reckon that's probably more something that you guys need to look to. Liverpool, put the pressure on yourself, Ram, and start talking about how you're going to put the pressure on Arsenal and City and make this a three-way title race. Because
I get to
all I've been hearing from Liverpool fans recently is you've got such a good midfield, you guys such a good defense. Klopp's refreshed the team, is rejuvenized. You're saying I've heard Liverpool say we're guaranteed a trophy this year. If it's not, it's Europa League's there. So you say Europa League's there for the taking.
Europa League should be a given.
Oh, a doubt. That's what I'm saying.
should be
Europa
winning
League
it.
there guaranteed. So with the Premier League, I mean, look at how Salah started the season. He's having the best start to the season in a long while, looking like a rejuvenated man. So are you in the title challenge? Are you gonna win the league, Rap?
Rams, before we move to Liverpool, before we
Okay.
move to Liverpool, I want to ask George this: did you consider Arsenal charged last year a title challenge?
What did you say?
Did you consider Arsenal's last year season as a title challengers? They did. You considered them did that, right? You
Well,
considered them
I
title
mean-
challengers, right? You do or you do
Is
not?
that a question or you ask?
It's a question. It's a question. It's a question.
Ask me
It's a
again, 'cause
question.
It sounds like a statement.
No, it's a question for you. Did you consider?
Did I
Did you consider them?
I mean, you can call them. It depends what people call title.
All right.
They did go. Wait, I did. So this is what I mean. Mo, you've done a loaded
It's
question.
a
in your
yes
team.
or no
It's
question.
not-
man.
it's not,
Simple
Mo.
question.
It's a yes. I don't need context.
It
I
was a
don't
big
need
question,
yes
Mo.
or no
Mo, it was a
question.
big
You can't
question.
load up a question.
No, it
and
wasn't.
then
It was simple.
interrupt me before I even say answer. You've got the answer in your head that you want me to say. Let me say my answer, and then you go from there. Yeah. I think for me, they was never winning it. But when you say they was in a title challenge, they was there. You can give them the fact they was in a title challenge. But I said the whole season long, you guys watched the clips. We was on the terrace together. I said they were never, ever gonna win it last year. So
It's
yeah,
not
they was in
about
the
winning
challenge.
it. Winning it is different context here. It's like being title challengers, mean get 80 plus points, being at the end of the league, still challenging, still having a chance at game week 32, 33 to win the title. You're not like 20 points behind the leaders in game week 30. So
Yeah.
this is why I'm calling Arsenal's last year title challenges.
Yeah, I
So
said
your
that.
squad this year, the first 11 this year, the way you play football, it reminds me of Arsenal's season last year in the beginning of the year. This is why I'm going to say, if you keep everybody fit and you keep playing the same football, you might be the Arsenal of this year, of last year. You might be this year's Arsenal of last year. Why not? Why are you afraid to say that? You've been playing sensational football. You're enjoying every bit of it. You're winning. It's not only that you're playing good football without winning. You're playing good football with winning. You have an easy 5 games coming, apart from Chelsea, who you play at home. You're just afraid to say it, but Arsenal fans weren't. I have Arsenal fans in October say they were title challenges because you're brave
Right.
enough.
Well,
I
Mo,
think
the big
Spurs
difference-
fans are actually scared to say that, yeah, we're playing
Nah.
good football.
Okay, but the
we
big
have
difference
one
is, Mo,
competition and we have some of the best. Listen, Rory did team of the season hours ago.
I saw
He
there
put
was
6
4 players in
players of
Yeah.
Spurs in there after 8 games.
Nah.
We're reaching the
4?
quarter.
Nah, I'm
Yeah, there
gonna,
was
nah,
4.
I'm,
There was
four.
4.
I'm
We're
gonna
not
reaching
crazy.
quarter of the season, guys. We're reaching quarter of the season. They're top of the league. If next 5 games, I think they can be there.
Nah,
Nah,
I'm
no,
gonna,
no,
And are
let's
they
be
gonna win it?
realistic.
So
Let's-
all you guys want to say is Spursy, right? This is all your. Give me an argument why they wouldn't challenge for the title after 8
I'll
games
tell you.
now.
I'll tell you
What,
why.
to-
I'll tell you what. Because what's it called?
Okay,
This is what rival fans do to United all the time, and I'm going to defend Tottenham on this. You cannot put words in his mouth. You can't make him say that you're in a title challenge and you have to accept it. Otherwise, it's not good enough. Because as somebody who has been very frequent to rebuilds, I have a very clear understanding that at the start of a rebuild, you can't start making proclamations of title challenges and things of that nature until way, way, way further down the line. If you should so happen to find yourself in a title challenge, maybe in April, then it's a whole different ball game. But you have to expect the downs that come with ups in the midst of a rebuild. You have to expect that they're going to go through a wobble. And really what will define whether or not they're in a title challenge is how they bounce back from a setback, which is inevitable to come in the first year of a rebuild, for sure.
Can I just
The
also
thing is,
add?
the
a
same-
big-
Look at Pep when he first
the
came
big-
to City. We're talking about arguably one of the greatest managers of all time. Did they win the title first year? It's not as simple as that. They don't have the squad depth. They still got players that they need to add to the side. They've got players that they need to get rid of. It will take a while, but for Spurs fans right now, I think a season pushing for top 4, as well as exciting football, which is very important for a top club, because before Spurs were playing like a bottom half team rather than a top half team with the counter-attacking nonsense that was going on. It will be good enough. It's only the first season. We haven't even played 10 games yet. Let's take a chill pill. Like Spurs title challenge. I guess if they're up there in January, then it can be more serious. But for now, I don't think Spurs fans should be talking about title. They'll be happy with how the football's working, how they're picking up points, and then you go from there. It takes a while. Look, Arsenal still haven't won the league, and lots of praise has gone to Arsenal. It's took them how many years, Arteta? And Arteta's got a lot of stick during them years as well. And they still haven't won it, but they're on the right track with Spurs. Let's take a chill pill. They might get there one day, but this season, that'll be a miracle. That'll be a miracle. That's how
also to add on that point is a big thing for Tottenham they have to deal with is African Cup of Nations and Asian Cup. And that'll be Son, Basuma, and Papa Sarr will all be going. And I'm talking 2 pieces of your core being taken away. I don't feel like that would affect us as
much as people think. I
feel as though it will be a big miss.
Especially with regards to our midfield, like Basuma and Sarr, they're going to be misses. But we do, by that time, we'll have Ben to go back. Højbjerg probably might be able to slip in. If not, we are looking at, so we do need another midfielder. In January, that is one of our priorities. So we'll probably look to sign midfielder early in January to get them in before the Africa Cup of Nations.
Also but Son as well.
Pretty much like you guys have alluded to, this is our first season. Like Arteta took 2 or 3 summers before he even started, like before last season, before Arsenal got to the place where they could even think about competing. This is our first summer. We've still got a lot of these players around that were leeches in our past couple of years, the likes of Dyer, Davies, Session, like all these players that have been around Tottenham for far too long. That I just think that their mentality isn't at where some of the other players are. And we need to get rid of them. They need to get out of our club before we can even think about title challenge. So for me, I'm just going to take, like I say,
is your starting 11 better than Arsenal's starting 11? Genuinely.
Huh?
Is what? Your starting 11 better than Arsenal starting 11? No. Genuinely. No. Jords.
You have to answer the question.
I get what I do. It's
hold on. Let me just, because I had someone yesterday and he kind of I was silent for 20 minutes. The guy kept getting stats, what they did this year. I'm genuinely asking you, do you think Van de Ven and Romero now, they're similar to Saliba? Do you think Vicario is better than Raya? Poro's playing better than Ben White. Your dog is better than Zinchenko. And your midfield, you before said that your midfield is superior.
I do think our midfield is superior. I do. I just think that with regards to when you look at
wait, Terry, don't do that. Wait.
I'm just stretching, bruv. I'm just stretching.
we still haven't played with our best midfield. Bentko's still not back, so you guys haven't seen the best. And quite frankly, I do think that we do have a better midfield than Arsenal. I just think that in the attacking areas, they got more clinical players. You look at Martinelli, you look at Saka. Their 2 wingers very clinical at the moment.
You're scoring more than them. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, I do think that again. I know what you're trying to do, trying to make us.
I am actually not trying to. I'm genuinely trying to get this Spurs, because I've had 2 Spurs guys come to my channel and they actually gave me a clear thing that why they think the starting 11 is better than Arsenal, and with one competition, they think if you can keep everybody healthy now, go in January, get a couple of players, they think you can have a better season than Arsenal's last season in terms of point tally in the league.
I don't know. I'd say I don't think I can,
because it's based on starting 11 and how your manager just ate up the years to jump into phase 4 away because everything looks good.
I do get that, and I do get the things with the starting 11. I like my starting 11. The thing is, I don't want to do is start to compare my starting 11 to players like, let's be real, Udoji's been in the league for 10 games, 8 games. I'm not going to start saying he's better than Zinchenko, and Zinchenko's been here for 3 years. He's proved himself. He's been a proven player. I'm not the type of person to start coming out and say, this starting 11 is good, but I want to see this starting 11 prove to me over a 6-month period that they are good, not over 10 games, because anyone can have a 10-game run of form.
And the league is not won over 10 from your 11 man. That's never been the case. Maybe the closest thing to it is the Leicester season, where they pretty much went uninjured for the whole of the season. But to win the Prem is a squad game for sure. There will come a time where you need to go to that bench, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. Arsenal's bench is way stronger.
Here's the thing, though, right? The same reasons that were thrown at Arsenal last season were squad depth, what happened? How do you deal with the first big setback? Once you go on a bad run, how do you deal with that? This, that, and the other. And eventually it came through. But Arsenal had a title challenge, so there's no reason that Spurs can't. But equally, I wouldn't have said last October that Arsenal were in a title race. I think it was not until like January when we'd had a good run against difficult teams that I genuinely thought, okay, now we're in a title race. So I think Jords is doing the right thing, and I don't even think Arsenal are in a title race so far this season. You got to wait. It's too early. Way too early.
Yeah, look, you are right. The title race doesn't start until that last 10 plus games or so, but the foundation's built now. I think Arsenal will be in it. I think Liverpool will be in it. City most definitely will. I do think Spurs will fall off, but when I say that, I don't think they're going to drop out the top 4 and collapse. I just don't quite think that squad will have enough this year. And to a degree, listen, if they stay the course and put a title challenge in year 1, what a phenomenal first season that would be. It'll be very hard to do. However, some might stay fit all year. A lot of people are banking on, well, Basuma might get injured and Maddison might get injured. If their main guys don't, and we have seen seasons where Liverpool won the league, everybody was mesmerized by the fact that none of the main stars really picked up anything. It does happen. It'll be interesting. I've got some super chats to do here. There's quite a few that have come through. First one says, Audi Drake is delusional, can't lie. No, he's not Audi, bro. He's like at the top of the league now, like Waitrose Drake. That's what we'll say. Waitrose there, brother. We'll upgrade that. Waitrose is nice, bro. Waitrose is nice. This year, Spurs fans desperate to be recognized as top of the league and desperate to have no pressure.
Well, people try to put the pressure on. They did last season. It's not that we don't want pressure. There's no need to put pressure on the team right now. It's the first season. There's no need.
Agree. This year says Haaland and Alvarez equal Toney and Jesus. Same dynamics.
Hooray!
But the quality of players.
Not in terms of goals.
That's the
Audi version.
Yeah, the different options. Yeah.
This year says Neto on the radar. I mean, look, if Arsenal pulled, they might not be able to. If they pulled off Neto and Toney, again,
please don't.
£150 million for Osimhen, or say 110 for Neto and Toney. What you always going with?
Neto
and Toney, but it won't be that expensive.
Yeah.
Neto will be expensive, right? You guys don't think
but it'll be
January
about
Neto
£80 million for both. No, not even that.
No, for hell no. You are smoking, fam.
For Toney and Neto for 80 million? No, nowhere near. It'd be well easily be.
Tony's going for 80.
Guys, he's talking Liverpool money. It's all right. It's Liverpool money. It's a Liverpool price.
Liverpool will win 80.
We also paid about 70 million for Soboslai.
Why has no? Again, this has just come out, by the way. I don't know whether they've been arrested or just talking to authorities, but Tonali and is that pronounced?
Zaniolo.
They're being questioned over betting allegations. So some of the reports I've read on Twitter saying they've been arrested.
I did see this.
One of them is betting. One. They don't know which one of them.
One
of them. One of them did it. They have not. It's an Italian player that plays for the Premier League.
Tonali's fine. Tonali's fine because if it's Tonali, he has got one of the richest people in the world as his owner that will probably give him a legal team that he'll be fine if it's him. But yeah, the reason we haven't spoken about it is because I haven't read the story. So it'd be very wrong to sit here and talk about something that I've not read about. But thank you for the super chat. Talking Europe, what experience does Toney have in the Champions League? That's probably you, Ram. We brought it up earlier.
Could have said the same thing about Declan Rice.
Well, you could say the same thing about Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka.
You could say
he lost it the first game that he played away from home. So come on. Don't do that.
He's also scored in his first game in the Champions League.
Come on, don't do that.
This here from Manny. He says, if Haaland and Alvarez can play together, so can Toney and Gabriel Jesus. Arteta can add more plan Bs to the tactics and stay alive in other competitions. Yeah, it's not a negative at all. It's a positive. Toney does a better job than Nketiah at being the Haaland type striker for Arsenal. Jesus is the Alvarez type striker. I will say this. I think Ivan Toney is a football player in terms of his touch, hold up play. I think he's probably better at that at this moment than Haaland, personally. I think he's better than that. So it's got elements that are great. Toney offers the same thing Jesus brings to the team. We need a true number 9. So is Toney not a true number 9?
He's a first of a kind super chat.
No, I'm sorry, he just doesn't. Like they're two different players in terms of what they do. So
I'd say Toney's Toney is a number
Okay,
9.
with me. He's a true
I
number
really
9
don't.
for sure.
I think what he's saying, he wants a poacher in the
number
box.
9, guys. Have we seen Ivan Toney play as an actual out-and-out number 9 in the league, in a team that needs an actual player that plays a number 9, position-based team? He's in the 18. Or we seen Toney holding up the long balls, bringing people in? Like, have we seen that?
Though,
ever?
Mo, it's unfair to say because he's been at Brentford. They're not
Exactly,
gonna be-
George. Yes.
Wait. Okay, but then when you look at the level that what he's been scoring at, he's been doing it at their level. When they was a possession-based team in Championship, he was a goal scorer, 33 goals.
Ricky Lambert and Danny Ings did it.
And yes, wait, no one sat here and said
Don't
that the
disrespect
Championship is the
Danny Ings.
level, but he's shown that he's continued that into the Premier League. So he can do it in possession-based and he can do it counter-attacking. I don't get it.
Toney replaces Nketiah, not Jesus. This is true.
It's the biggest upgrade in world football, to be honest, from Nketiah to Ivan Toney. That would be the biggest upgrade.
Big facts.
Geek here says, what's the Man United fan waffling about? We told you Casemiro for 60 million was a bad deal and he was washed and you all swore down he was the second coming.
Well, first and foremost, the first season, he was one of the best DMs in the league, and I think everybody can admit that. This season, it seems that we've all fallen apart. So I'm not really quite sure what you're getting at. But if you want to admit that you were wrong about Gabriel Jesus, I'm all ears, buddy.
Yeah, I think Casemiro will be fine. First off, no one said Jesus was going to get us 30 goals. Toney offers, and I will say this, no one with a real name or showing their face maybe. If it's from a troll account, don't take it seriously. Toney offers us a different style. Should try 50 mil plus Eddie for Toney, NBA style trade. This year from Jamie says Shevchenko was 30 and on the decline when he came. It's a fair point. Also, he wasn't a Jose signing. As a Gunnar, I'd have Toney over Osimhen on the top of his quality. Mikel Arteta plays a lot of attention to the personality and mentality. Toney ticks all our boxes.
Osimhen has a very good mentality and personality. I think
Ivan Toney called out his club on a boat. So it's just
establish that. Yeah, I will say that with Toney. Like, I like Ivan Toney, but there's the betting stuff. There's calling the club out. There's a few things there that you could argue aren't so great. But listen, I don't. But equally, he weren't being horrible about Brentford. In my personal opinion, and I could be wrong, Ivan. If I'm wrong, I apologize. He was just trying to impress a girl. That's what all he was doing. He was trying to impress the girl.
Got caught a few times, man. He got caught.
And I'm sure he had a very eventful, happy, consensual night after that point. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. Well done, Toney. Bagsman on and off the pitch, bro. That's what he's out here doing. He says, if Xavi gets the sack, I'm not surprised. But who's going to be the manager? I'm getting Toney is a good idea, but I don't know. I mean, is Xavi getting the sack? Well, I don't know.
What?
No, not right now. He's been getting a new deal, I think.
Yes, getting a new deal. It's the opposite. He's staying there longer.
He's getting a new deal. Terry, love your show. You and Lee are the same age as me, so football. So see football in the same as I do. Well, me and Lee don't see football in the same way, though, bruv.
Not even a little bit.
Is there so much scandal in every aspect of this sport? Listen, I think there's always been scandal in sport. Let's not get things twisted. There's a great show on Netflix. I'm not too sure what it's called. I'm actually going to search it now. Netflix sports scandal show. I'm sure. I can't remember what it's called.
Called corruption or something, isn't it?
It's just covered way more now because of social media and stuff.
It's called. I think it might be called Bad Sport. Might be called Bad Sport, maybe. But yeah, search it, find it. I think it's called Bad Sport. And there's a few in there that might be similar names. Maybe go and watch it. Corruption's been in all sport forever. I think the difference now is that because fans have platforms. Well, thank God Danny Murphy don't run the internet. It did shut us all down. Because we get to speak about it, you maybe hear about it a little bit more. And trust me, the video I've got dropping tomorrow after the conversation I've had today, the authorities don't want us talking about things, bruv. Trust me, they want us shut down. I hate how people can never shake the bad egg tag. Martial always gets included in this. Yeah, I don't think Hakimi's been included as a bad egg. I think the tweet before about him going was basically, the tweet said like attitude, and it said, I think he said quality as well. So speaking about players that can deliver. So I would put Casemiro and Martial into Robert's super chat as being more about they're physically not able to do it anymore, my friend. I don't think he was calling Martial a bad egg. And in fairness, Martial's looked good in the last few games he's come on. If Chelsea get Osimhen from Napoli without triggering FFP, then Chelsea's cheating scandal allegations might have some grounds to it.
Cities,
yeah. I think they might have some grounds to it anyway. But we have to wait. They've got to have their day in court. They might have a little bit. Toney, Ivan Toney, a penalty merchant at Brentford. Arsenal need better, is what AJ says.
Like who? There isn't any strikers in the market, fam. Who are we talking about?
I give you one.
Mo said Ollie Watkins, which I don't know why, Mo.
Ollie Watkins will cost a lot more money than even Ivan Toney.
Really? You really think? Oh my God! You really?
Why would I
To be fair, he did just
Aston
he
Villa
did just
will
sign
not
a new
sell it.
deal.
And he signed a new deal.
Okay.
Yeah, and their owners are rich as well. Jesus had 18 GA in 26 games. Idea he's bad is mad. It's a fair point there.
Rory's point. Rory brought up.
Why did he add what 17 was?
Yeah, he just added one on. I don't know where it came from.
You know what I mean? That Jords is on that. Evening, Terry and everyone. Which team would City worry about? Arsenal, Spurs, or Liverpool? I think if Liverpool are there in January and buy a DM and central defender, they will be worried about Liverpool. Who worries City the most? That's a good question.
I think if I was a City fan, I'd be most worried about Arsenal and Liverpool personally. Tottenham as an outside shout, but yeah, I think Arsenal.
I think if it was Pep, it'll always be Liverpool because he has some weird obsession with us. But I think in terms of City fan, because Arsenal, obviously the team's coming from a good moment from last season, they are going to have that momentum. But I think we're going to be there anyway. So yeah.
Arsenal as well. Yeah, Arsenal and Liverpool. I think Arsenal they're a title challenging team now, and I think for the next 2, 3, 4 years they're going to keep challenging for titles. Whether they win it or not is a different conversation, but I think they're up there.
I don't know how many times
I really do.
Saliba was fit last year all season. I think absolutely.
I mean, and how good was Saliba the other day?
And it's nothing gets spoken about.
Right?
Terry,
did you read about that, Rory?
As good as this year last year.
Did you hear about Saliba, Rory, getting arrested at the airport? You heard that story?
No.
I know they did it. They're doing him for people smuggling because he hadn't let Haaland out his pocket yet. Do you know what I mean? So he's being done for people smuggling. He got done at Heathrow. He was arrested Sunday night on his way to France. I don't even know if he went to France, to be honest with you. I'm just making that up. But I made the whole thing up in case anyone's wondering. Just in case. Oh my God, Terry Lewis says somebody got arrested. No, it's a joke. I know that jokes were illegal in 2023. That's a problem we live in this generation. Team of the year. Team of the year, my people. Who's been the best goalie in the league so far?
No
Who
debate.
are we saying?
There's no debate.
Anyone? Oh, no.
There's no debate. There's Alisson Ramsey. Alisson Ramsey Becker. No debate. Not in my opinion. The best.
That's middle name.
George has something to say.
You know what? It's not that. It's not even that I want to debate it because again, like I personally
don't bother
think
debating.
Amazing start to the season, but Alisson was good against Tottenham, so I'll give it to him. Like he almost saved you, man. Almost.
Can I ask something?
He's the best in the world.
Jords and Rams. Has Alisson made a mistake that led to a goal this year? Yes, last game.
People would argue the Brighton
Has Vicario made one?
None.
All right.
And who's top of the league?
Right.
I'm
trying to
really going to be doing this.
We
Okay,
can just go based on.
Are we going with panel?
Okay, fine. We haven't expect.
Hang on, Ram. Who are we going with? Panel, Vicario or Alisson?
Alisson.
Vicario, why not?
I mean, Rory, if you look at your team,
I know why you said Vicario.
Change your
We're
mind.
talking about this season.
No. Alisson's in my
season.
No, Alisson. I'm gonna still go Alisson. Alisson still made some big saves. I remember.
What are you going with, Jords?
Was it Bournemouth at home?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what it is,
he's still. Alisson's been fantastic.
I'm a back my man, but I'm not against Alisson.
It's a losing battle.
Right, we'll go with Alisson then.
Alisson.
Said that. We'll go with Alisson.
I back you and you abandon your post, fam. What is that?
I know.
Typical Spurs.
Who's been the best left back so far this season?
Now that's no debate. There's no debate. It's Udogie. Honestly, the way he's come in and just made that
Udogie.
position.
There haven't really been any standout ones, so I'd give
Yeah,
it
exactly.
to.
Udogie's the
Udogie.
easy one. Everyone's talking about him, so let's give it to Udogie. I think.
And you might as well go to the Tottenham left centre back too. Let's
Is
be honest here, guys.
it Stupinian? How is he playing this?
Well, he's injured for ages.
Yeah.
He was injured last game. He just missed one game.
Is
Then
it
he
in
injured
Doogie or
again.
is it in Doogie or in Doggy?
Udogie.
You doggy. You doggy.
See, I just heard 4 fucking different ways there.
It's not Udogie, Mo. I know that for sure. It's not Udogie. I know that. It's
What is how you pronounce
Mo should know because he watched Serie A, so he should know.
All the Serie A commentators, they pronounce him Udogie. That's what they say. That's Udogie. Like it's the U, and then that's what they do.
What's his first name? Is it Destiny?
Destiny.
Let's call him Destiny. It's a better name. It's a nice name. Right back. Who's been the best right back in the league this year so far?
Trippier.
Trippier. I was going to say
no
Trippier.
Definitely
Trippier.
Yeah.
I actually think he started the first 3 games, and we only played. So he started more than 30% of the games really poor. You guys don't disagree with that? You got recency bias. He started the first
But
3
again,
games. People said he's done. People said he's gone.
But then,
After the
no, I get that. Mo.
I think the most
Trippier.
consistent one. I'm sorry. I think the most consistent one for the 8 games has been Pedro Porro. The most consistent one has been Pedro Porro.
I hear that, Mo, but then when you look at Trippier, he's got the most chances created in the league, as well as he's joint top for assists. Like, you can't take that away from how good
Because
he's
he scored 9 goals against whatever team that I can remember, like Sheffield. But to be honest, he started the first 3 games. People said they want a right back. This is why Livramento. They said Livramento is going to take his place. You guys forgot. The first 3 games he was atrocious. By the way, it's only.
I don't think he was that
I want to say the first game he was atrocious.
Come on, you remember?
After that,
He had one bad game I remember. I didn't know he was that bad.
Now the first game he was pretty. The first game he wasn't that bad because that's why they beat Aston Villa 5-1.
Liverpool game.
Yeah, I hear you there.
He was all right against us. He was all right against us.
Began with Trippier because that's had the most votes. Right-sided centre back. Are we all in agreement that it's Saliba?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes.
Who's the left-sided centre back?
I'm just giving you that one, by the way. But left side. I didn't want to put the real Rolls Royce in there, but we'll go with the other side.
I'm gonna go for a left field shot, and I think D's gonna like this one. I'm gonna go for Joaquin Anderson. I've been very, very impressed with him.
I can't lie.
You watch a lot of talk.
I mean, we've kept we're joint top with Arsenal right now. We're joint top with Arsenal. Mark Gay and Joachim Anderson be fantastic. 4 clean sheets each in 8 games as well. Kept the clean sheet at Old Trafford. Got the job done there. We've been very solid in defense. But if we're talking about look, Mark Gay and Joachim Anderson, fantastic defenders. But if we're talking about the league position, as a team where you're at, I think I'll probably you have to give one of the Tottenham boys there as well.
Where no, we don't.
I think Van der Ven. Look, I would happily take Gay there, but Van der Ven, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't fighting for Gay. I was fighting for Anderson.
They're top of the league.
Outside shout, Pau Torres, anybody?
No. I'd say
I'll take Gay.
I'd say
12 goals.
I'd say Gabriel in the last 5 games would be a shout because he didn't start the season. I'd give it to Van der Ven instead.
We had enough.
Van der Ven for me.
Okay.
Van der Ven for me.
Who as the DM? Who's been the best DM?
Bissouma.
Rice.
Bissouma.
Yeah, it's got
Bisuma's been way
question.
It depends. I'd have Bissouma and Rice in there and just put Rice as an 8.
Yeah.
But
Are we in a 4-2-3-1?
I think we could do. We're doing 4-3-3s. What's up? I think we can put Bissouma in there and Declan Rice as the left-sided midfielder.
But he hasn't played left-sided midfield.
He hasn't played.
He did against City.
Just one game, and Jorginho was the guy who was running the game. He was good in tackling and everything. But if I'm gonna put, you're shoehorning Declan Rice because you want to put Declan Rice in there. But as a DM, Declan Rice played most of his games.
Let me ask you a question then. In the midfield 3, which midfielders in the Prem, in your opinion, Bo, deserve to be in it over?
Ward-Prowse.
Soboslai.
Ward-Prowse.
You take Ward-Prowse over Declan
Yes.
Rice?
If I have Bissouma as a DM, I'll have Madison and Ward-Prowse in there. Based on the 8 games, yes.
For me, Soboslai.
I am not saying Declan Rice is bad. I am not saying Declan Rice is bad.
Stop a second, mate. Stop a second. Sorry. What if we change the formation to a 4-2-3-1? Then you got a double pivot.
You do a double pivot. It's up.
But then Ward-Prowse doesn't work in the 10.
Yeah, the Ward-Prowse.
That's where he's been playing though. He's been playing in the 10. He's been playing as an attacking midfielder. He's been playing in.
But then we know that James Maddison's the only 10 in this team that's gonna fit. You got to make it.
He
work.
don't keep him playing as an 8, man.
The best players.
He's playing more as an
Right.
8, though.
Declan Rice has to be in this team. James Ward-Prowse doesn't have to be in this team.
Can I
That's
ask you
the-
something,
Rice
Rory?
don't have to be in this team.
Guys, can I ask Rory? Can I ask you something? If you have a striker that scores 30 goals, but you have another striker in the same place that scores 40 goals, and you have to have one striker in there, would you put the one that is 30 because you like him so much because he's great, or you put the one that scores 40 goals? If we're gonna have one DM in the league, it has to be the better one, even if the other one is fantastic.
Some people would have put Harry Kane over Erling Haaland last season.
Yeah,
So
I get you. If you think Harry Kane, if you can, do you think so? So the question is to you, Rory. Do you think Declan Rice as a DM has been better than Bissouma?
Yes, I argued that with you. Yeah, I've argued that with you before. Rice has been better than Bissouma this season, which is why he has to be in there. But if you want to get Bissouma in as well, you can put both of them in.
So you're putting Bissouma there out of sympathy.
See, I don't think you're shoehorning Rice in at all because Rice, they both play midfield, and again, it's hard to do with these teams of the year. The bigger question is who plays the main attacking midfielder. Now, you mentioned Ward-Prowse. Now, you can't compare Rice and Ward-Prowse because they don't play the same role. You're comparing Ward-Prowse against the likes of Maddison and Odegaard and these attacking midfielders this year. And does Ward-Prowse, in your opinion, Mo, get into the team over James Maddison?
100% no. He's an 8. He's not a 10. But yep. So for me, if you're gonna play two pivot, you play Rice and Bissouma. If you're gonna play, for me, the more balanced midfielder is Bissouma there.
So, let me ask you. I want to ask that. So if you're playing 4-2-3, if you're playing 2 and a 10, hang on. So you'd play Rice and Bissouma with Mount ahead, Maddison ahead.
Yes.
If you're playing 3 in midfield, you'd put Ward-Prowse in over Declan Rice.
And as a Bissouma, if I'm playing 1 DM, yes, I'll put Bissouma over Rice, and I'll play Ward-Prowse next to Maddison, both 8s, one of them advanced. Yes.
So against Man City, the hardest game in the league, Arteta deliberately moved Declan Rice out of the 6 into the 8 because he thinks he's more effective there, and he brought Jorginho into the 6 because that midfield of Jorginho, Rice, Odegaard was better for the hardest game in the league. But you're saying that Basuma, Rice...
But you didn't have anybody to play 8.
Work.
Yeah, I don't feel like you can say that's the hardest game in the league when they're missing 2 of the biggest players. So you didn't play against the
even without them, they're still the... Well, they are. They're still
but
the
they
best
didn't
team
play.
in the league.
But they're missing the
them.
2 best midfielders in the world, the 2 top midfielders in the world. Like, you didn't play
Even
against
without them, they're still the best team in the league. No, without them, they're still the best team in the league.
Not without them, Rory. Not without them. You beat them. You dominated the second half.
Can we take a second?
Guys, interest of time. From my point of view, so currently Basuma and Maddison are in this midfield. Rice is the one that everyone seems to be deliberating over.
Rice has got to be in there.
Rice is there. We're just not even in the debate.
Well, if we're playing as a centre midfielder, then I'm still going to
Mo being a contrarian for no real reason. It doesn't.
I don't. I actually.
Mo Gender does have a Rice agenda.
He does. He definitely does. In
I've
terms
seen it too
of
much.
the right-sided attack, who we putting on the right side of the?
I dare anyone to
player,
say
bro.
someone but Mo Salah.
There's only one player in the world that can go
I
there. Which
dare
is Mo Salah
you.
now.
Saka.
Jared Bowen and
Saka.
Bukayo Saka,
Terry.
honourable mentions.
No, Salah. It's Salah.
Honorable mention.
It is.
This season.
It is Salah.
It's honourable mention, not
Yeah.
an actual.
Yeah.
What about
I
the
like what you
left-hand
did there,
side?
Rory. Amazing.
What about the left?
Honorable mention.
What about the left-hand side, boys?
Pedro Neto.
Pedro Neto, has he not been playing off the right though?
Yes.
But I think he's better off the left than the right anyway. But he's just been playing there to
That's not
suit
what
their
his manager
system.
thinks.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's more because I don't think Hwang can play off the right. But either way.
Who on the left though? What was that? Someone here says Doku. Really? I don't think he's been that great. Yet.
Nah, no way.
No way.
Son can't go because Son's been playing as a striker. So
Matoma maybe, but
I can't lie.
it's a hard one because I don't know who's actually
Doku can
standing
go
out on the
there,
left.
Terry. You said Doku, no, but he could potentially go because there isn't that many options.
But he's the same as Neto though. He's been
If you're
moved
gonna
around.
if you're gonna pick Doku, then I think it has to go to Martinelli. Martinelli's
I
been
was
better
gonna
on the
say
left
that.
this season.
Yeah,
Martinelli's been injured for quite. I think so. He played about 4 games and he only
That's
scored.
the thing. Yeah.
He's only scored
He
1 goal.
only played 4 games, but I can't think of anyone who's been better than him this season in that position. That's genuine.
I mean, I'll
For the
take.
people,
I'll-
for the people in the
Playing
chat,
on the right.
our beautiful people in the chat that say Sterling, he did it against Luton and against Burnley. So stop it.
So Anthony Gordon. No, I don't know.
Nah.
Doku. I would take Doku over Anthony Gordon.
I wouldn't say Doku. He's not played enough.
Doku's
games.
played what, like 3 games or something?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if you're picking
Martinelli
Doku, then that's why I said Martinelli, because he's played more games and he's been more impactful.
But then
Doku's
I'm
played
not
5
even
games, scored 1 goal, and got no assists. I don't think he's looked exciting, but I don't think he's actually
If
been.
we're gonna say Doku, then I think Luis Diaz has more of a case.
I
And I do
think
really want to put him in there.
We're all
Mitoma-
over the place. I'm hearing like
Mitoma
10 names.
hasn't been that bad.
In that
Mitoma?
one position. Luis Diaz as well.
What about striker?
Haaland.
Oh,
Oh, actually,
I don't think
Exactly.
Haaland's
Well,
been that
in
good.
my opinion, in my opinion, again, based on this 8 games, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah,
because he bagged a hat trick against.
Eight,
man, Ollie
eight,
Watkins, why are you so
eight,
quick with
eight,
him?
8 GA. Every time I'm watching him, he's linking up the play.
I-
People just look at history. Emery has transformed the guy. Just watch. You guys don't watch Aston Villa then. He has transformed them.
he has, but I swear the first
personally-
4 games of the season,
Right.
he wasn't even like the first 4 games of the season. He absolutely ruined me in FPL. So
Yeah.
It's
I've
that.
got to-
I
It's
would
like
Haaland has
Haaland
ruined me in the last 3 games.
If we're talking about
How
these 8
about
games
Haaland?
only, for me, I'd be going with Son. He is
Son, yeah.
played
Yeah,
a
that's not
striker
a
and
bad
led his
shout.
team to the top of the league in the first 8 games. Like, for me, it's got to be. He's not a striker, but he's Son. I'd
I'd
go
say
with
Isak.
personally.
I'd say Isak.
Isak
I
is
think
there as
Isak's
well.
been
I think
really
Isak's a
good.
very
Really
good
good.
shout.
He's getting
That's not a bad
selected on.
shout.
It's
built up.
astonishing,
I mean-
but we're not saying Haaland.
I mean, yeah,
I'll go with
Haaland.
those, man.
Astonishing to
I'll
me.
go
Yeah,
with Son,
but you could say
Haaland is
Haaland.
probably still the best option, but
If it's
I
not
don't know.
Haaland-
Without De Bruyne, he ain't really looked like the same Haaland to me personally.
he still scored 8 goals.
Isak,
though.
I think Isak
Yeah.
or Son for me. Maybe you guys changed.
I'll
my
go
mind.
Son.
Isak or Son.
I think having 5 Spurs players and no Man City players is a bit steep.
We actually don't have any Man City players in that whole.
I think I know we've got standards for them, but I think that is a bit steep.
People, come save your boys, Man City fans.
I just personally don't think that Man City, of course, they've been winning and so on, but I just don't think that individual performances from their players have been good. Like Grealish has been poor this season, to be honest, on the left
Well,
side.
Rory had Alvarez in his team. I watched his.
I had
clip.
Alvarez,
Yes, Alvarez. Is it a
Alvarez,
shout?
You know what it is. Pep's play is so dominant. It's boring to watch, bro. I'm not tuning into that crap.
Bro, why is
I'm
Martinelli there?
What did you say?
I said the City play style is so dominant that it's boring to watch their games. So I don't tune in.
Don't
to be
dare you
honest.
say that. You don't know football if you say that. Don't.
I don't, bro.
It is kind of boring.
If
Not
you
gonna
say
lie.
that, you'll get
No, it is
cancelled.
boring.
Boring.
If you
man.
say that, you'll get
You're
cancelled.
right.
you
Well,
know?
all right. As a spectacle, they can be. It's like, you know, when you watch like the Djokovic's of this world play the early rounds of slams and they just beat those people easy. That's what 95% of watching City's games are. And it's one of those things. I can appreciate how good the football is by how dominant they are, but the game as a spectacle is so one-sided. It's not fun to watch. There is truth in that. There is.
Yeah.
Just
Terrace,
pass,
we-
pass,
Been saying
pass,
that since
pass,
2009.
pass,
I
pass.
said Isak as well. But when you show that graphic and you don't have no City plays there and Haaland is missing as well, I think I'll probably put Haaland over Isak. Like you have to include one City player there. And Haaland, yes, I think the thing is, you look at the Arsenal game, he was pocketed by Saliba, etc. Yes, he struggled without Kevin De Bruyne, but like realistically, he's still, despite the struggles, it struggles for him. He has scored 8 goals in 8 games, and there's no City players there. So I'd probably still take Haaland at this current moment of time than Isak. Even though I mentioned Isak, it just doesn't feel right. Not having no City.
We've done that now. We've got a few super chats we're in the show with. Rice is the best DM in the Premier League, and that's a fact, is what Jay's got to say here. This here from Terrace says, I heard Saliba played with a toe injury, didn't go to France. Thoughts on him pocketing Haaland with a toe injury?
Yeah,
I mean, David
toe
Hayes should be
injury.
embarrassed by that, but personally. But
Toe injury.
Chill out, George.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
He's been playing through a toe injury for a while.
Yeah, toe injury. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. This says, stop hyping Saliba, Terry. His fall will be brutal, is what IFL.
This guy is the
SW
biggest
says.
Arsenal hater I've ever seen. I recognise his name already. I'm a hater.
Arsenal just beat City. Yes, as I talked about when we were speaking about Arsenal in the title race. Thoughts on who?
Terrace.
Jurisi.
And no, he plays for Stuttgart. And no, he's just had.
The guy that scored
He just
every
broke
single
11.
game.
He just broke Lewandowski's record. But again, stay away from him. As in, 1, he plays for Stuttgart, and 2, this could be like a 1 season kind of thing. And I like
I'll do some
Stuttgart. I like
research on them.
Stuttgart, so I
There
actually
we
do
go.
watch them. So yeah.
13 goals in 7 games, though. Fair play.
Yeah,
Jeez,
but again,
decent.
this is the crazy season for Stuttgart. They're
Well,
not meant to
Lautaro
be up
Martinez
there.
scored 10 goals and he had like 4 assists in 8 games. So yeah.
Yeah, that's Lautaro Martinez. This guy literally just came out of the blue. Just saying.
Chelsea, 40 million January. Sounds about right.
If they want to do it,
Plus
cool.
Osimhen for 150. Just to,
Yeah. Just in case.
just to add, just
in case you're missing that. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
if people want to look at someone from the Bundesliga, Boniface for Bayer Leverkusen.
Fair enough. Boys, I want to thank you all for coming on the show today. Viewers, a big thank you to all of you. Make sure you keep your eyes out on the Terrace for tomorrow. I got a mad video dropping. A mad video. I cannot believe we got contacted by these people today over me calling out the referees in the Premier League. So make sure your notifications are turned on. That'll be dropping tomorrow morning. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Thank you to all my super chatters. Everyone who's hit the like button. Look after yourself.